Draco Malfoy and the Truth of the Heart. By Draco, we'll hear about this. Epilogue. Not quite healed, but getting there. 8 months later, Draco looked up at Hermione from his breakfast, glancing at the roll of parchment she was shoving at him with little enthusiasm. "Hermione," he sighed, "you know I love you, but can we please have one meal without talking about our homework? I just want you to look over that last paragraph," Hermione pleaded. "I'm not sure if I translated that section right, and I wanted to ask you about the—" "Eureka!" Draco said loudly, making the other girl look up at him from the opposite side of the table, her expression a bit like a unicorn god at one point. Luna kept braiding her hair completely unperturbed. "You're taking ancient runes with us. Please help Hermione out with her translation." Eureka's eyes narrowed. Her expression told Draco that she hated him. Very much indeed. But Draco didn't care, because Hermione took the bait and Draco was pleasantly free to enjoy his eggs and toast.
"Hello, my favorite band of misfits,"
Ryan called as he and Ginny approached their corner of the Slytherin table, a goofy smile on his face. His hair and clothes looked ruffled, and both of them were suspiciously flushed. "Honestly," Eureka muttered, "you could have at least taken the time to button up your shirt properly."
"Oh, please," Ryan scoffed. "At least I'm wearing my own clothes. Killian, make welcome to our house."
Killian flushed and looked down at himself, only to find the Hufflepuff tie the way he was supposed to. He tilted his head at Ryan in confusion.
"Made you look."
Ryan winked, and a boss shot daggers at him from next to his boyfriend. Demelza giggled. "Are Harry and Ron meeting us at Hogsmeade later?" Karina asked, looking at Draco and Hermione over her glass of pumpkin juice.
"What does it matter?"
Ginny snorted, but she was smiling.
"It's not like they're going to talk to any of us if they do."
"Don't be mean," Neville laughed. "Harry made an effort to talk at least for half an hour last time before he kidnapped Draco. That was double the time Ron invested. He only waved into the round, grabbed Hermione by the wrist, and took off." Hermione tried to pretend that she wasn't listening, but her face had flushed almost to the color of her Gryffindor tie. "They are both going to be there," Draco answered Karina's question, "though I'm not going to vouch for the amount of attention you'll get from either of them. The last time I saw Harry face-to-face was January."
"I know we tease you, but I do feel bad for you, mate."
Ryan frowned.
2 months without love from your man. That's rough.
"You would think so," Zoe grinned, wiggling her eyebrows. "You can't go an hour without molesting your girlfriend."
"And I'm not ashamed of that."
Ryan shrugged. Jenny shook her head, laughing. "It would probably be easier on them if we didn't offload our relationships quite so much all the time," Luna said wisely. She was now arranging flowers in Eureka's hair, her actions at complete odds with her words. "Right," Draco said slowly before turning back to Ryan, who was
grinning at him, raising an eyebrow.
"We mean the single friends, Hermione," Draco told her. "You have single friends," Zoe puffed up. "That's me and Karina, Neville, Viola, Yatin, who are not here," Draco reminded her.
"Technically, I might not be a single much longer,"
Neville said with a shy smile. "After saying hello to Harry and Ron later, I'll spend the afternoon with Susan." Draco threw his hands up, calling out to the universe. Neville looked apologetic.
"It's not like you and Harry ever kept it in your pants in front of us," Ginny noted. "So stop lamenting."
"We very well kept it in our pants, thank you very much," Draco called. "You never saw anything you weren't meant to see." "I beg to differ," Eureka muttered. "Anyway, Harry was the one who couldn't keep his hands to himself," Draco grumbled, sinking back in his seat. "Hardly my fault."
"Tell yourself that."
Ryan patted his shoulder cheerfully, and Draco shot him a half-hearted glare. They made their way to the village in a large group after breakfast, which led to some delays in their speed. 5 minutes in, Karina noticed that she'd forgotten her gold, and the twins returned to the school, saying they'd catch up with them later. Luna stopped twice to look at plants. When they finally reached Hogsmeade, they went straight for the 3 broomsticks, and Draco was relieved to find their usual corner booths already occupied by 2 familiar faces. Harry and Weasley looked over when the door opened, and they broke into wide smiles when they spotted Draco and Hermione. Weasley was the first on his feet, barreling past Draco to lift his girlfriend off his feet and into a bone-crushing hug. Draco rolled his eyes at Harry, but laughed when Harry's arms came around him just as tightly, hugging him as if he was going to disappear. "Merlin, I missed you," Harry breathed to his neck. "I missed you too," Draco sighed, taking a deep breath to inhale his familiar scent and sinking into his arms.
And we lost them,
Draco heard Ryan say somewhere in the background.
You'd think my brother would at least acknowledge me, the arsehole.
Ginny grumbled.
Arsehole,
Ryan repeated appreciatively.
you're so creative. You think they're going to come up for air sometime in the next hour?
Neville asked, sounding worried.
I promised to meet Susan about 12. I can try poking them,
Luna offered. Harry snorted, shaking his head, and they exchanged a grin before Harry turned to their friends. Why, hello,
he said loudly and with fake cheerfulness.
So nice to see you again. Weasley was still snogging Hermione's face off in the background, not bothering. They ended up squeezing into their usual table and ordering a round of butterbeers. Harry and Weasley had originally agreed to stay for one drink with the whole group before stealing their partners away for some privacy each visit. That plan had flown out of the window the first time Weasley had actually set eyes on Hermione after weeks of separation. The man had no self-control. Harry at least tried.
So how is work as an Auror trainee?
Neville asked with open interest.
Is it as exciting as everyone says?
Harry took a sip of his beer, seeming to choose his words carefully. The field work is, if I get any, Harry allowed. It's also very emotionally straining, though. More than I thought. And the paperwork is just plain boring. Draco squeezed his knee under the table. He knew that Harry was unhappy with his career choice, and they were currently brainstorming on how to change that. Weasley had quit only a few months in, deciding on working with the twins at the shop instead. They had opened up more branches and needed the support. Harry, too, considered just throwing the towel, but he didn't want to do it without a plan B. They'd written pages and pages back and forth on their enchanted parchment, and some half-cooked ideas were there. Working in education in some way, for the most part, the way he had done with the DA, though how that was supposed to look like, none of them really knew yet. Draco had suggested talking to Kingsley and McGonagall, but Harry was still dragging his feet.
Yeah, not for me,
Ryan whined in his eyes.
I hate paperwork. The Aurors would fire you on the first day, babe.
Jenny grinned.
In the first hour,
Eureka pointed out.
True,
Ryan admitted.
Not made for a ministry job.
They then proceeded to discuss what kind of professions would be suited to who, and Harry seemed glad to have the attention away from him. He turned to Draco, murmuring, I met with Molly and Narcissa last weekend.
Oh, Merlin!
Draco rolled his eyes.
What are they planning now?
Well, it's hard for them to make plans when they can't agree on a single thing. Harry grinned ruefully. It was like watching an accident happening right in front of you. Draco sighed.
Is it too late to elope?
He asked. They wouldn't forgive us, Harry pointed out, though I feel more partial to the idea each time you mention it. This is going to be a bloody shit show. Draco shook his head. Mother is going to want this elaborate, elegant, pureblood thing, and the Weasley family will want to make it this cozy family thing, and that's just going to clash. I think we'll just have to figure out what we want and put our foot down. Harry shrugged. No way around it. Okay, Draco snorted. You tell them. Harry grinned and leaned in to kiss his cheek. Honestly, he whispered into his ear, as long as you end up saying, I do, I don't care about the rest. Liar! Draco teased, but he turned his head to sneak a kiss from him. But I do appreciate the sentiment. Thank you. If you guys start making out now, you might as well leave. Eureka pointed out her own long-suffering. I get enough of that from Ryan. Right, Harry said, getting to his feet. They didn't have to tell him that twice, Draco thought. It was nice seeing you and all, but we have some catching up to do.
See you next Hogsmeade trip, stranger.
Ryan teased, and Harry flipped at the bird, which made Ryan giggle. Then he took Draco's hand and pulled him out of his chair. Rosmerda only nodded at them in acknowledgement as they made their way back to the rooms of the inn. Harry had taken to booking a room for the day when they could see each other. The things I want to do to you when I haven't been able to touch you for such a long time are not suited for the public eye, was the explanation he had given Draco, but really Draco didn't complain. It was nice having a bit of an escape with Harry. What did he need to see the village for anyway? If he needed anything, he could send the others to shop for him. This was more important. As soon as the door to their room was closed behind them, Harry pulled Draco against him, meeting his lips in a hungry kiss. Draco returned it eagerly, letting Harry push him up against the wooden door, their bodies pressed together. Merlin, Harry moaned, it's been too bloody long. He punctured each word with a nip to Draco's throat, making him moan. I know, Draco sighed. But we're almost there. Past halftime. It's Easter holiday soon, and then there'll be the newts, and then I'm done. Thank goodness, Harry grumbled, looking up at him. I can't be separated from you much longer, Draco. It's killing me. I know, Draco said, cupping Harry's cheeks and smiling at him softly. But we almost made it, and we're going strong. Things are going good, right? Right. Harry nodded, smiling. There were still hard days, Draco knew. Both of them had those. There were days when Draco forgot how to smile, or when Harry needed him to fire call because the distance coupled with his fear of loss was just too much. There were times when Draco still felt worthless, and he had long sessions with Healer Jones to dissect those emotions. But he knew he was not alone with that. Sometimes he had to hold Hermione as she cried, feeling guilty about her parents, afraid that things were never going to be the same with them. She had found them in Australia, and their memories had been returned. They had forgiven her, but had refused to move back to England. They had trouble reconciling their old life with their new existence, and though Hermione understood, she blamed herself. Then there were times when he'd hear Ryan wake from a nightmare. They'd sit together those nights talking until either of them could fall back to sleep. He knew that all of them were struggling. He was not alone. They were healing, and they were doing it together. He leaned in to kiss Harry again, and Harry melted into the kiss. Things were good. Or, at least they were getting there. End of Draco Malfoy and the Truth of the Heart, the last canon installment of the series Do It All Over Again. Thank you very much for listening, and if you would like a continuation of this story, including the various ficlets and drabbles written by this author, please leave a comment below. Thank you for listening.